Just this morning, the Labor Department is out with jaw-dropping new numbers.
It was the toughest day in my career.
The March Madness has been canceled.
It's official. The 2020 Tokyo Olympics will be postponed by a year.
EMS stretchers lining up down the block, waiting up to 5 hours.
Shock, disappointment, fear. On March 11th, these were the three words that best describe the reaction of all Americans when the NBA announced they were postponing the regular season until further notice. Just like a fatal domino, the entire tone and direction of this country changed soon after it became clear this war against an invisible predator was going to directly impact the lives of every single citizen. Beyond the most important and alarming health threat, the economic threat is like something we've never seen before, and there is now a $6 trillion stimulus package to prove it. Figuratively speaking, while this fiscal policy action taken by Congress will offer up some temporary relief, like morphine would a broken bone, there is also no question the health of our economy will need long-term repair across all industries. For the business I plan to focus on today, the NBA, the postponement of the season is a devastating blow for a league that was already enduring a trying year, rampant with political controversy, declining television ratings, and an unbelievable tragedy that still keeps us asking the question why. Yet, in channeling memory of the late great Kobe Bryant, when the walls seem to cave in and the uncertainty of success hangs in the balance, his eternal wisdom reminds us everything negative, pressure, challenges is all an opportunity for us to rise. And in this video, I plan to detail just exactly that, how the NBA can take this painful situation and use it to revolutionize its business in a way that will make it 10 times stronger than it was before. So what is good, people's kid? It's your boy Kobe back with another video, and as always, hope you guys are having a blessed day. Now, for those that caught my last video on the secret decline of the NBA, you'll know that this is part 2 of a deep dive into the state of the league. In part 1, we talked about mainly the causes of the league's drop in television ratings, and today, we're focusing on what they need to do to protect their business long term. If you haven't watched part 1, link is in description. I think it might help with the context, but also I do think you could follow this and be okay. Per usual, if you guys enjoy, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and with that said, let us hop right into just how the NBA can get its swagger back. First things first, in discussing how the NBA can bounce back from all these different problems they are facing, we need to address the elephant in the room, and that is, will the NBA be able to salvage the season in some capacity, or are they going to have to cancel? Given my own research and review of what people close to and around the league are saying, the truth is there's literally not one person in the world that knows the answer to this quite yet. Simply put, it is far too soon to project when it will be deemed safe to return to basketball, and anyone that tells you otherwise is kidding themselves. As much as I like Mark Cuban and think him to be a smart guy, the fact he is hopeful for a mid-May return is laughable and really cannot be taken seriously. I mean, the CDC already recommended no gatherings of at least 50 people for the next 2 months, which puts us way past that timeline already. With that said, if you made me give an answer if the league will complete the season, I do think there is still a chance the NBA finds a way to salvage some of their games this summer, but I don't think it will be June and maybe not even July. If I'm Adam Silver, I only feel safe to return when this thing is no longer the dominant force in our lives, number one, and number two, if the players, coaches, and league personnel feel comfortable with whatever plan the league looks to put forward. Apparently there is reports of a potential return to a controlled area, such as a resort in the Bahamas or Vegas casino, with the playoffs partially being single elimination. And given the Olympic Committee has already postponed until 21, I think there is now starting to be an avenue for perhaps a 4 to 6 week accelerated conclusion to the NBA season around August. Yet, playing devil's advocate, I do also believe there is a strong case to be made for the NBA to just cancel the rest of the year if health and travel logistics begin to become daunting, and really just utilize this opportunity to make landmark changes to their business. Because at the very worst, the very worst. It is reported the league will stand to lose $1 billion in revenue if no more games were played. Look, I'm not sitting here saying I have $1 billion lying around, but I also do know that this is not an airlines or hotel industry situation where 70 to 80% of their future earnings and current earnings have completely vanished. That is not the case here. Looking at the NBA's revenue across the last 20 years, you can see $1 billion for the league represents about 11 to 12% of their total revenue from the 2018-2019 season. No doubt it hurts, but at the same time, very, very manageable. So, keeping this all in mind, you might be thinking, okay Kobe, what landmark changes would you make to the league? Well, I'm glad you asked. Taking what I heard from you guys in the last video and combining this with my own thoughts, here are my 5 major recommendations I would give that I believe can turn the NBA into a $20 billion annual business within the next 10 years. Recommendation number 1, the league needs to do a better job protecting their intellectual property, but do so in a smart way. As we talked about in my part 1 video, one of the biggest problems the NBA is facing is the way their digital fans are consuming the product. In fact, it is not hard to contend the rise of social media platforms is the direct and perhaps most significant cause as to why TV ratings are decreasing despite rising popularity. Keeping this in mind, I think it is fair to say the NBA may be too available to their fans and should consider dialing back extensive highlights on social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and even maybe Twitter. It's actually funny I say this because I have recently noticed unaffiliated NBA YouTube channels like Free Dawkins have had hundreds if not thousands of videos removed, and this is probably exactly as to why. While you always want to have a few select highlights available to keep marketing strong and fans entertained, you can't give away the whole farm. In my opinion, if fans want to catch every single field goal from say a James Harden 60-point game, they need to either watch it live or it should be something they can watch in the NBA app. Remember, I'm talking about extensive highlights. The NBA should still put up, 3 or 4 highlights of James Harden scoring 60, but not every single point, rebound, assist like we've seen over the past few years, because it really hurts their product, which is live television. And hey, I hate to say it because I imagine this mindset will soon cut into NBA YouTubers like myself, but it is a harsh reality to accept as the league needs to focus on protecting its business. Let's also be clear though, there is a difference between the NBA highlights niche versus the NBA commentary niche on YouTube, and if the league was smart, they should really look to hire some of these NBA YouTubers to create great analytical content on their behalf, similar to how you see BuzzFeed and the CNBC YouTube channels nowadays. Because if we're keeping it a buck, there is no doubt intrinsic value for NBA commentary channels, and it is a complementary product to the league's main business of fans watching games on television. Recommendation number 2, the NBA should push back opening day to Christmas and shorten the regular season to 70 games. Although we are still just getting started here on these changes, I think this one is a no-brainer and will see positive effects from day one. If you guys remember the 2011 lockout shortened season, the NBA's opening day was actually Christmas Day, and recall how natural it felt to have the league start at that point. Baseball was over for a couple months, NFL regular season was just about ending, and the anticipation for superstar players to get back on the court is a gift even Santa can't top. All jokes aside, it's not like this isn't backed up by raw numbers. Over the last 20 years, the NBA's highest ratings occurred during the 2011-2012 regular season, and that year no doubt played a huge role in landing the league's record-breaking TV contract. Regarding the decrease in games to 70, I don't think you'll find a single NBA fan who thinks we really need 82 games to determine the best teams in the league. In fact, I would argue the only reason this has not been done yet is because of the fears of owners losing additional money from a combination of ticket and television revenue. While I'll admit this is a fair counter in discussion of shortening the regular season, with a little bit of forward thinking, let me show you exactly how the league shortening the regular season can not only make them more money, but can also help them overtake the NFL as the biggest professional sports league in the United States. Recommendation number 3, the time for a new in-season NBA tournament is now. Jordan Classic. Yep, With news a few months back that the NBA is considering an in-season tournament alongside the regular season, I can't help but agree and recognize the incredible growth opportunity available here. At the same time, no matter how good an idea might sound, it needs to be executed correctly or the whole thing can turn into an absolute joke really quickly. So before discussing the benefits, I want you guys to try to stay with me here on just how exactly the league can set this up. If we want to understand how teams handle multi-leagues being run concurrently, look no further than European soccer, where the UEFA Champions League tournament is played by the greatest soccer clubs in the world alongside the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A. So next thing to note, if the NBA wants this to become a multi-billion-dollar product, and yes, this is the potential we're talking, they need to be extra focused on the branding of this tournament and have it be run as if it was a completely different organization. Purely for the sake of example, let's say the NBA decides to call this league/tournament the Jordan Classic, where NBA teams will wear Jordan Classic jerseys and there are slightly different rules that might evoke a different style/product of basketball being played. More on this later. Moving to how exactly we can organize the Jordan Classic, with 30 teams, we can quickly create 5 groups with 6 teams in each group. Similar to the Champions League in Europe, we can have a group stage period that lasts about 2 to 3 months, where each team is playing one Jordan Classic group stage game every 2 weeks. After all games are played, the top 2 teams from each group advance, as well as 2 additional wildcard teams. With 12 teams advancing, we move to the knockout round, where the 4 top teams get a bye, and wait for the other 8 to play each other to settle in on the quarterfinal matchups. From there, the Jordan Classic can be a single elimination tournament all the way through the championship game, or single elimination until a championship best of 3 series. In terms of timing, the league can easily be scheduled to conclude 2 to 3 weeks before the start of the NBA playoffs. Most importantly, the Jordan Classic should be completely distinct from the NBA, where fans can know right away that they are watching a Jordan Classic game versus a typical NBA game. How can they make this happen? Well, they can slightly tweak the rules. Perhaps in the Jordan Classic, players are allowed to hand check. Trash talk is encouraged, and 3-pointers count the same as 2-pointers until 5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Just with those 3 changes, all of a sudden, the NBA has created a completely different product where different players are valued a bit more than they are in our current NBA, and new strategies are needed to win. With the current destruction of the mid-range J and the dissolvement of premier post-up players like Jahlil Okafor in the current NBA, this new league could help bring back some of the lost NBA art some of us are desperately missing. Again, thinking long term, if the league treats the Jordan Classic as a completely different tournament and entity, it is feasible for the TV rights for this game to be bid on completely separate than the current NBA and bring in billions of dollars of its own. I know this all might sound crazy, but it's really all within the possibility if the NBA decides to shorten the regular season to make room for something like this. And make no mistake, I have no doubt that this would be a game changer. Recommendation number 4. Bring forward a consolation single elimination playoffs to determine NBA draft lottery order. While I openly concede my last recommendation is a bit revolutionary and up for debate, I think this one should be instituted tomorrow. With the problem of tanking and load management keeping healthy players from playing, why doesn't the NBA consider having a consolation playoffs for the 14 teams that don't make the playoffs and have this decide the order of the draft? This could and should take 2 weeks at most. And before you go and say, but Kobe, this just means the worst teams will never get a top pick, there are easy hedges you can make to combat this. For example, if we think about a 14-team single elimination tournament, we can create a first round bye for the 2 worst teams, have the best ranked teams play each other in the first round, such as the 9th seed in the West plays the 9th seed in the East, the 10th seed in the West plays the 10th seed in the East, and so on. This will help ensure an even distribution of bad and good teams getting the highest pick. I can go in detail and speak on how this looks, but I think you get the point. Given that it is a single elimination tournament where anything can happen, there is definitely a possibility the worst teams can still end up getting the top pick, but again, they will have to earn it, as it should always be. No more tanking. Recommendation number 5, the league needs to improve its paid streaming content. What do you guys want me to say? Streaming is the future, and the NBA needs to get on board when it comes to monetizing their product. Looking at the WWE Network and seeing they have nearly 1.5 million subscribers paying $9.99 a month should light a fire under the NBA's ass. Because with a tad of creativity, there is no question the NBA can no joke 10x those subscriber numbers with the right global strategy. You might ask, how exactly will the league get people to pay $10 a month? Again, simple answers in my opinion. Remember the full extensive highlights that Free Dawkins shared that go into every single field goal make, rebound, assist? Put those highlights on the paid app. The Jordan Classic tournament I just mentioned? Have some of those games be exclusively available via a paywall. The consolation playoffs? Maybe put that on the paid app. Exclusive looks into the locker rooms and behind the scenes content? Put it in the app. Slowly but surely, you're going to make a compelling case for die-hard fans to buy a subscription. And in China, they should be working closely with major companies like Tencent to produce an excellent NBA app experience. I know a lot of people will say, there's no way anyone is going to pay for this, but that's what they say every time. I mean, I remember the same thing was said about ESPN Plus, and lo and behold, they're already at 7.6 million subscribers in under 2 years. As a result, not only do I think this type of activity will lower the importance of ratings and revenue from television, but this could also quietly become a billion-dollar service relatively soon. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the NBA does next. Anyways guys, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. I could honestly give you a million more ideas on how the NBA can improve its product, but these were the ones that resonated with me. Although the NBA is faced with some real challenges on getting their grip on declining TV viewership, I would be lying to you if I said they don't have a ton of fun and exciting ways to solve the issue. Global interest persists among their fan base. It is just about diversifying their income stream and adapting to find new ways to monetize their content digitally. Unfortunately, I'm well aware some of these ideas may be considered too radical by owners, but I think they'll be missing amazing opportunities by playing it safe. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my recommendations? And if not, how exactly would you change what I've outlined? Comment your thoughts below. With that said, hope you guys have a great rest of the day, or night, or whatever time it is. I'll be back at it soon. Peace out.
Can you explain your crab walk dribble? Hey, coach, your crossover is sick, man. LeBron, you practice your dunks? My bad, brother. Alex.